What is going on, guys? Welcome back to LOI Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping very well. In today's video we're going to be doing our first LOI transfer show of 2023. So much has happened so far, but I feel like there's still a lot left to happen in the LOI. Just over a month now until the campaign kicks off. I absolutely cannot wait. And we're going to do a quick roundup of how each Premier Division side has got on so far in their business. We'll be looking at this tracker by Andrew Dempsey. Give him a follow. I'll pop his Twitter up on screen right now. He's doing some amazing work tracking all the transfers. As you can see, pop it up here on screen right now, League of Ireland transfer tracker. We will start off with Bohemians, and of course they have had a busy window so far. Declan Devine coming in there and making wholesale changes. He's brought in James Akintunde. I believe he was a man that he brought in when he was at Derry, so I think that's correct, and he will know him very well. So Akintunde following him to Dalymount Park. He scored 6 goals in 33 appearances last season. Obviously a lot of them would have came from the bench, I believe, as well, kind of playing second fiddle to McGonigal, but still a threat, and I think if anyone's going to get the best out of him, it's definitely Declan Devine. Some other standout signings that Bohs have made so far: Dylan Connolly, very experienced winger, even for his age, kind of his mid-20s now, was brilliant for Dundalk a couple of years back, and he's actually played 20 games in League One this season. Hasn't had the best return. It says a lot about the level he's been playing at for the last while in League One. 20 games there, so yeah, he has been playing at a top level, and he will offer Bohs a lot this season. Very quick winger. Dean Williams as well, brought in to compete with James Akintunde for a starting spot. He was a bright spark for Drogheda last season. Still very young. Shamrock Rovers Academy he came up through. He scored 6 goals in 30 appearances for Drogheda last season, so we'll be looking to kind of hit double figures this year if he's given a good run of games. And of course you have to look at Keith Buckley coming back into the side. Him and Adam McDonald, both two good strong midfielders coming in. Keith Buckley, of course, I believe he was at Bohs when travelling for a year back now. I presume he'll be given the captain's armband. And Adam McDonald, of course, was very impressive with Sligo last season. 32 appearances for them. 5 goal contributions shows that he can chip in the final third. But what I like about the signing is 10 yellow cards last season, 1 in 3. He's not afraid to get dirty in there, and Bohs definitely missed that last season. That bit of fight, that bit of desire, those kind of niggly tackles. They need to get that kind of Bohs DNA back in them, and Buckley and McDonald in midfield will certainly deliver that. Have to mention Paddy Kirk coming back to Bohs as well. Big signing, and the fans will be delighted to get him back in at left full there. In terms of departures, as I said, it's kind of a big list, isn't it? Jamie Mullins, of course, was one that went to Brighton. Connor Livingston to Wexford. Wilson will be a... some Bohs fans will debate this. I think it'll be a loss, but defensively he wasn't solid enough at all for Bohs last year. We'll get into the signing for Shells later on in the video, but yeah, I don't think Bohs fans will be too displeased to see the back of him. Liam Burt was kind of a Danny Mandrew-esque situation in the end, wasn't it? A very talented player, no one can deny his ability, but I don't think he wasn't feeling it at Bohs. You don't know what was going on behind the scenes there at all, and moved to Shamrock Rovers. He'll probably get a new lease of life and really do well there. On to newly promoted Cork City now. They've been relatively quiet. Tunde Uwalabi coming in as maybe the highlight signing from them, and bringing him in from St Patrick's Athletic. He had kind of a frustrating campaign for them last season. Only 5 goals, 2 assists in 28 games. Obviously a lot of them off the bench as well, playing second fiddle to Owen Doyle. But yeah, that'll be an interesting one. He really needs to kind of kick on this season and have a good campaign for them, and he'll be hoping that he's the main man there. Ethan Varian, a striker brought in from Bohemians on loan, was one of those players that Bohs kind of brought in towards the tail end of last season that didn't really work out. Another striker, and whenever I saw him he didn't impress me too much, but fresh start from him, so we'll see how he gets on. Matt Healy was of course on loan at Cork last season as well. They've extended that loan, so if the fans will be delighted with that. He was very impressive in the first division. Big jump up, of course, but he seems like the type of player that will be able to take that in his stride and really impress him. And then finally Toby Oluwemi on loan from Celtic, a goalkeeper. I haven't really seen a whole lot of him, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, and if he's given the #1 shirt, I'm sure he will be. Lewis Britton probably being the highlight player that is leaving Cork City this season. He's gone to Yeovil Town in the National League. He was very impressive with Waterford in the first half of last season in the first division. Went to Cork and didn't really do a whole lot there, going off his stats, 0 goals in 9 games I believe it was. So yeah, disappointing one that never really kicked on from him there, but yeah, apart from that, not a huge lot going on in the departures list for Cork City. Derry City kind of copying that Shamrock Rovers mould, where they're getting to that stage where they don't need to be making wholesale changes year in year out. They can just add that little bit of quality and keep hold of most of their group, which is a really, really positive thing for them, and this is showing that they're going to be in and amongst this title race next season, no doubt about it. Colin Whelan being a massive signing, of course, was unbelievable for UCD in the first division. Started off really well in the Premier Division last season, but unfortunately picked up a really, really bad injury. But yeah, Colin Whelan, no denying how much of a hot prospect he is, and I think everyone in the league would have liked to have got their hands on him. And I think if he had stayed fit last season, he probably wouldn't have stayed in the League of Ireland. I think he probably would have gone abroad. So yeah, I think he'd be buzzing to get going with Derry this season. It's a fantastic signing. Ben Doherty from Larne as well, really impressive player. I think he was at Derry City before, returning to the club. Really an interesting pickup, and he'll add a lot to their midfield. In terms of their departures then, there is a couple of big names, but players that weren't really getting a look in. Your Akintundes, your Laffertys, your Matty Smiths being the kind of highlights, but noting that they're going to miss too much in terms of what they had last season. Some good players there, no doubt about it, but the way Derry are going now, they can't afford to let these players leave the club, and because they just have so much quality and so much depth in so many positions now that they can afford to let these players leave. And yeah, they're looking like a really, really strong outfit for next season. Drogheda United, obviously always going to be a tricky off season for them. Brought in a lot of young players. Sean Brennan from UCD, Michael Leddy on loan from Shamrock Rovers, Ben Curtis coming in, which is a really good pickup. He could be a player that does really, really well for them. And Conor Keeley, which is a great sign as well, from Ballymena. But it is a case of losing kind of big players every season. Your Andrew Quinn was outstanding for them last season. Dean Williams was very good, and then a couple of experienced lads, Chris Lyons, Dane Massey leaving the club as well, which could be a big one for them. Big losses there, and their squad is looking a little bit light. If you look at the numbers there, it's looking like they've kept hold of a lot of quality from last season and a lot of their important players, but looking a little bit light and a lot of work to do still, I think, for Drogheda. But probably one of the lowest budgets in the league. It's always a really, really challenging time of year for them. Dundalk up next. Louis Ainsley first up on the list for them, and I have written down here he's a centre back, 22 years of age, and funny enough, at 22 years of age he has 35 caps for Gibraltar. Mental statistic, coming in from Blackburn Rovers. So he's a kind of a young centre half, and it's been kind of Dundalk haven't done a whole lot, but you can tell their transfer policy by the 4 players they've brought in, all kind of young, early 20s, and all I believe on multi-year contracts as well. So they're going down that route of maybe bringing in players and possibly selling them on for a profit, rather than kind of bringing in like they did last season, like the Robbie Bensons and the very experienced players. They're going down that kind of young transfer policy route, which is clever, but is it something that's going to make them crack into that top 2 with Derry and Shamrock Rovers? Probably not, but it remains to be seen. You just never know. Hayden Muller from Millwall, young centre half, 20 years of age. Conor Malley in from Rochdale, he's an attacking midfielder, 22 years of age. And Cameron Elliott from East Kilbride, 23 years of age, and he's a striker. So yeah, I've obviously never really seen these lads play before. I assume they're all kind of very good players and will add a lot to Dundalk, but can they crack into that top 2 with these kind of young lads coming into the side? Hard to know. They've kept hold of a lot of quality. Alfie Lewis, Pat Hoban, the list goes on. They have a lot of quality there, so they probably do have the quality to make a challenge for that top 2, but I do think they just might not have enough. It's going to be an interesting one for Dundalk this season. Let me know if you're a Dundalk fan what you think down in the comments below. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more additions coming in before the season kicks off there. And we have the champions up next, and similar to Derry, as I said, it's just a case of losing the players that are kind of young and maybe not making it and aren't making that transition into the team, and bringing in absolute quality players that are going to go straight into the side. Couple of the best players in the league, arguably, you could say. Liam Burt coming in. Danny Mandra, of course, is gone, so it's kind of a like for like, maybe not necessarily, but kind of that kind of position, that left just off the striker, that left position. And I think Liam Burt offers them that pace that maybe your Mandrews, your Burns, your Richie Towles, the likes of them, don't necessarily have that pace to get in behind and cause fullbacks problems, and offer them something different. I think too many times last season, even Graham Burke as well, a lot of the Rovers forwards come kind of deep to get the ball. Liam Burt will give them that option in behind and give them a lot more to aim for, and it's scary to bringing in Johnny Kenny as well. I believe Sligo fans are disappointed not have him come home to them, but yeah, he needs to kind of kickstart his career now. He was obviously went over to Celtic, really, really promising young player. Didn't really work out from there. A loan deal at Queen's Park didn't work out either. So this is a big opportunity for him now to stake his claim and possibly whether it's go back to Celtic or look for a different move elsewhere. But big opportunity for Johnny Kenny to show us what he can do. I think it's a great move for him personally as well, as a young lad getting into that team, and that winning mentality will only do him the world of good. And of course the return of Trevor Clark as well at Bristol Rovers under Joey Barton, and Joey Barton kind of banished him from the side. Really strange. All of a sudden, I think he got a new contract, then all of a sudden was banished. So really peculiar one there, but Rovers picked him up on a loan. We've already seen what he can do. He can offer something in that final third. He can play off the right, off the left, but I think he will probably play as a left wing back in this Rovers side. They've got so many players like in that front three now, with your Jack Burns, even your Simon Powers there, your Neil Fruges. I know Fruges can play at left wing back as well, but I think Trevor Clark is that replacement for Andy Lyons potentially. That brings me on to the departures. Andy Lyons, of course, he was one of the best players in the league last season, and he's obviously a massive loss. Idomo Mamaku gone over to Millwall as well. They're probably the standout departures. Chris McCann was always a very solid professional coming to the end of his career, so they're the kind of standout departures for Shamrock Rovers. But yeah, really exciting people they've brought in so far, and we could possibly see one or two maybe brought in, but they probably don't need to be honest. Up next we have Shelburne. They've brought in a couple of players, as you can see on screen. Brendan Clark left the club, so Conor Kearns comes in from Galway United as his replacement. Initially I wasn't too sure if Conor Kearns is being brought in as a number 1 or number 2. It does seem like he has been brought in as number 1, so that's a huge statement from Damien Duff that he trusts someone and sees a lot in him, so that'll be interesting. Tyreek Wilson coming in for Bohemians, and I think this could be a really shrewd signing. We've seen him at Bohs before. I know he had a poor year last year defensively, he wasn't great, but I think for Shells, as part of a back five, you don't need to be as defensively sound, and we've seen what he can do in the final third. He has a brilliant delivery, his free kicks are amazing, he offers so much. I think a little bit of confidence was gone from him last year as well, you could really tell by him. So I think a little bit of confidence in his play with a back five, 3 centre halves behind him, covering him, plenty of cover. I think we're going to see the best of Tyreek Wilson this season under Damien Duff as well. I think it's a great move for him, and it's going to be a great move for Shells, I believe, as well. Kyle Robinson coming into the side as well, a young forward, probably going to play second fiddle to the likes of Sean Boyd, but 9 goals for Wexford last season. I think it's definitely an upgrade on your maybe a Dan Carr, who was playing as the backup striker last year. I think that's definitely an upgrade on him, only 20 years of age, so definitely a promising signing from Shelburne. Matty Smith, to get him in, obviously the standout signing it a lot, offered Shells so much and kind of transformed their season, nearly coming in at the halfway point from Derry City on loan. It's a huge statement from Shells to get him in permanently. There was definitely so much interest across the league in Matty Smith, an absolute class act, and yeah, that front three of Moylan, Boyd and Matty Smith is really something to behold, especially Moylan kind of has that year behind in the Premier Division now, a little bit more experience. It's going to be a really exciting front three for Shells, and then a couple of really shrewd bits of business. Andrew Quinn at the back offering him something there, a really young defender, played plenty of games for Drogheda last season and really impressed. Paddy Barrett, more experienced, but if they can keep him fit, he obviously I think he had injury issues last season a bit, but if Shells can keep him fit, I think it's a fantastic signing. Evan Caffrey, a good young player as well. So yeah, shrewd bits of business from Shells so far, I think, but it could do maybe 1 or 2 more standout names potentially. But yeah, I think Duff is working with what he has resource wise, and he's done quite well, relatively well with what he has so far. No massive names gone really, arguably Stephen Negru to Oxford, Brendan Clark, as I said, but apart from that, not a whole lot in the departures list. Sligo Rovers up next, and a couple of unknowns being brought in from them. Johan Branafak from Norby, Danny Lafferty, obviously everyone knows him, a good strong fullback from Derry City, very experienced, we know exactly what we're going to get from him. But Lucas Browning from Dalkurd, no idea. James Finnerty, a decent defender from Bohemians coming in. Nando Pigeonacker, he obviously was with Sligo on loan last season, was really impressive. I believe he has 11 caps for New Zealand, and he was great last season, so getting him in on a permanent is a fantastic bit of business for them. Gary Boylan coming in, but he has, I think, got a really bad injury straight away, and wish him the best in his recovery, but I believe he's going to be out for the whole season or most of it, which is a huge shame. Bagdun Vastuk, never heard of him. And then John Mahon, who we all know was like he's a fantastic defender, and I was surprised to see him come back. I hadn't really been following him too much over in Scotland, to be honest, and I'm surprised that he's coming back because he's a fantastic talent, and Sligo would be absolutely thrilled to have picked him up. Probably one of the best defenders in the league on his day. That's from my memory anyway. I remember him being top class, and I thought he was going to go over to England from St Johnstone or something like that, but obviously didn't work out the way he wanted it to. But another crack to get his career back on track with Sligo, and I think it's the best place for him. Couple of big departures. Paddy Kirk, Adam McDonnell obviously were big parts of the side last season. Shane Blaney gone over to Motherwell as well after scoring that cracking free kick. But yeah, a couple of other departures as well, but they have kept hold of Aidan Keena, which is probably the big one that Sligo fans were concerned about, and they'll be absolutely thrilled to have kept a hold of him. That's outstanding talent. I think he scored nearly over 50% of their goals last season or something like that. So yeah, a fantastic striker, and will definitely be crucial to any success that Sligo will have next year. Next up we have St Patrick's Athletic. Now they have brought in a very small number of players, as you can see in the list, but Tommy Lonergan from UCD is an outstanding pickup. 19 years of age, just turned 19, but was so crucial to UCD staying up last season. I believe he scored a goal in the playoff against Waterford. Scored 12 goals in all competitions for UCD. Looks like getting an outstanding talent. I think there's plenty of interest in him from across the pond and in the league itself. I believe he turned down a deal from Dundalk to join Pats, which Pats fans would be very happy with, obviously with the O'Donnell factor there as well. But yeah, looks like a fantastic pick-up, and he'll learn so much from Owen Doyle, whether they play off each other kind of rotationary or if Owen Doyle will just be the main man again. But no doubt Lonergan will learn a lot from playing with someone so experienced and who scored so many goals in his career. Then the interesting one, Vladislav Krida, never really heard of him. He's coming in on a loan deal from Flora Tallinn. He's an Estonian international, 19 caps for his national side. He's a central midfielder. Presume he's a decent player. Obviously Ian Birmingham retiring is a massive loss to the dressing room, but apart from that, obviously Adam O'Reilly was crucial for them last season. He's gone back to Preston. If anyone knows a buzz at him at the moment, let me know down in the comments below, because I was looking and I saw that Preston don't have a place for him. They're happy for him to leave, but I haven't seen him being linked with anywhere just at the moment. So I presume Pats are probably looking into like a way to get him back to the club. It remains to be seen what happens there. Let me know if you've heard anything on Adam O'Reilly. Cracking little midfield. I really liked him. Apart from that though, it was all kind of players that weren't really getting in for them that have left the club. So yeah, Pats, they definitely need to get a little bit busier. I think they could do with a couple of signings. Yeah, interesting to see how they get on the next month or so. And finally we have UCD. Nobody coming in. Shock, and they've lost a couple of really promising young players. Shock once again. It's just the way it is with them, I suppose, every season, but no doubt they'll be bringing through outstanding talents this season that we haven't heard of just yet. So yeah, that is one that if there's any UCD fans watching, they can be excited for. But yeah, hope you did enjoy the video, guys. Really do appreciate y'all tuning in. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like on it down below, and make sure to subscribe if you are new around here. We're gonna have so much more content coming out ahead of the new campaign. And yeah, make sure to follow us on all our socials, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in a bit. Bye.